Hey tribe, welcome back to my channel and happy new year 2022. I wish nothing but the best for you, and I hope that this year is the year you finally take control of your finances, and I'm here to help. So to kick off the year, I thought let me ask you a couple of questions. So I'm going to be doing a Q&A. You ask the questions and I'm going to answer them. All right, so the first one goes, let's get right into it. Notando says, just been declined for a car finance recently due to previous non-payment of credit. What can I do to get approved, and when can I try again? I do afford the car. All right, so this is a very common thing, that if you have had non-payment previously, because they take a look at it and they frown upon it, they say, well, will this person be able to consistently pay on time, in time, the amount that they said they would pay? So they do frown upon it, and that's why you were declined. So going forward, I think you're going to have to wait at least another 6 months, and whatever debts you have, make sure that you pay them on time all the time. All right, but what you can do in the meantime, for the 6 months, it's giving you some time to save for a deposit. So now you're going back and you're saying, okay, for the past 6 months or for the past 8 months, I've paid on time, in time. Now you have even built up a deposit, so it shows that you're serious and it shows that you've been consistent. So definitely do those two things. Then Paul asks, what's your take on taking a life cover in your 20s without dependents? So I always say, with life cover, when you're young, you don't really need life cover. But there are a couple of advantages of taking life cover when you're young. You are effectively banking on your health, right? In your 20s, you're young, you're healthy, no health issues, right? You never know what health issues might arise later. So you are effectively banking on your health, saying that I will have a bit of life cover. It doesn't have to be $1 million, doesn't have to be 5 million. It could literally be 200,000, right? But you are taking it on when you are still healthy, because once you start having issues, there's going to be different clauses against your life cover. There's things that they will cover or they will completely decline you. So bank on your health when you are young. And again, one of the things that life insurance companies do, they will not give you disability on its own. So they probably won't give you treated disease on its own. You have to have life cover as the foundation, then build up on that. All right, so I hope that answers your question, Paul. Then Neo asks, is it advisable to pay off your balloon payment if you have the funds available? Yes, paid off. No, definitely, like if you have debts that you can afford to pay off, do so that you can start saving for emergency, saving for a goal, and building your investment portfolio. And AB just says, welcome back, thank you so much. Then she also asks, I took an investment with one of the providers of 100,000 for 5 years. I feel like the 5 years is too much for this little money. This is my last year of the investment, I guess. Where else can I invest my money to grow? So right off the question, what she has is called an endowment policy, okay? And normally the costs are very high in endowment policies. So how do you know if something is an endowment policy? First of all, they will say it's for 5 years, 10 years. So there's a term to it, right? And you can't access it. Yes, you can leave beneficiaries, which is one of the advantages, but normally I don't encourage endowment policies, right? So I would say when the money does come out, do wait for it to mature, and normally there's a maturity period. Wait for it to mature. If you want to take out the money before the maturity period, normally there'll be penalties, so sometimes it's not worth it. So just leave it there until it does mature. Then at the end of the 5 years, if you still don't need it, so let's say for another 5 years, I would definitely advise that you start looking into investing in shares, start looking into investing in exchange traded funds or unit trusts. All right, and you can do that through Easy Equities, very easy platform to use. You can do that through Signia Asset Managers. You can do that through ETF SA. You can do that through Core Shares, Alan Gray, Coronation. There are so many, but definitely go take a look at the ones that I've mentioned. Then Mela says, is it a good idea to keep your emergency funds in a savings account? That is the whole purpose of an emergency fund, that it should be easily accessible and that when you need it, it's there. You're not going to lose out any money. So it's easily accessible and it's in a place where you will not lose any money. So for example, don't put your emergency fund in shares or in exchange traded funds, because there's a possibility, there's the risk of losing some of the money or all of the money. And I mean, that's just the reality of investing. So definitely in a savings account, but the caveat to that is that don't put it in your normal transactional account, because oftentimes, and this has happened to me before, where I would say, oh, I have my emergency fund in my normal transactional account. I would be swiping that emergency fund at Woolies. I am swiping that emergency fund at my favorite restaurant, because I'm like, it's a little bit, it's not a whole lot. So make sure that it's not so easily accessible that you'll be swiping it at a supermarket or at your favorite restaurant. Then, how does one build a monthly budget when the income is not constant? So I think this one, you have to take a look at your fixed costs, right? What are my fixed costs? You know exactly that whatever you get has to cover your fixed costs. And I think this is a method that actually I'm going to talk about it a little bit more. I'll do it in the next video. But this is a method that I've actually started using from November, because I spend so much money on holidays that it's a little bit ridiculous. So this year, what I did from November, I had 2 accounts for my fixed expenses and 1 for miscellaneous, because it actually shows you how much you're spending. So in the miscellaneous, let's say, for example, I put 1,000 rand. And that is all the miscellaneous stuff that I can afford. Then in the fixed one, you know that, okay, you're going to either pay your bond or rent or car or your very fixed expenses in that one. Then the miscellaneous one. So it helps you navigate through your expenses and know exactly where your money is going. Okay, I hope that helps. Then Flowered Bella says, I want to start investing. Any guidelines on what to look out for? I think first and foremost, what is your investment goal? Why are you investing? All right. Are you investing so that after 5 years or 10 years, you can travel the world? Are you investing so that you are saving for retirement? Are you investing so that you have to have a goal? What is your goal? Write down your goal. Then after that, and say, how long do I think I want to invest for? So is it 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? Do I have 30 years in this investment? Because that will determine the type of investment you're going to invest in. So if you have a long-term view or long-term horizon, it means that you can invest in aggressive funds. So you can invest in shares, you can invest in equity. If your goal for investing is 5 years, so clearly it won't be as aggressive as investing for 10 years or 20 years. So you might go for a lower risk type of investment, maybe an exchange traded fund that has a moderate risk. So I think those 3 things are key. What is your goal? What is your investment time horizon? And also, what was the last one, Pam? I completely forget now. It's goal, time horizon, and your risk profile. All right, so are you a risk averse person? Are you a conservative investor, or are you an aggressive investor? But also that coincides with the time that you have. All right, and also go for low cost investments, right? Because what's the point of investing and the cost of investing are so high, they eat away at your return. So exchange traded funds are a good example of low cost investing. Then Tepi says, oh no, I've read Tepi's one. Lebogang, the key things to look at when choosing a fund to invest in. I think it's a very similar question to Flowered. Then Sehu says, buying a second home, whether reselling the first or keeping it as a rental property. So I think she's trying to find out what should she sell the current property and buy the following one or rent it out, right? So this is a little bit more tricky than just a straight answer. And I say that because a lot of the times people fall into property investing by mistake. And what do I mean by that? Oftentimes someone will buy a flat, then they'll keep it for rental income, then buy another house. So you were not consciously thinking of being a property investor. You just kind of fell into it. There are tax implications to that. Number one, when you are renting out a property, it means that your income is going to increase your income. Therefore, you're going to pay a higher tax. So it's going to be part of your income tax. All right. Then if you do that with the next one and the next one, you have this huge property portfolio, but it's under your name, which doesn't make sense. So I always say, if you do feel like you want to go into investing in property, do the right structures. Is it going to be under a trust? Is it going to be under a company? And start buying property under those structures. It is a tax nightmare. Been there, done that. It's a tax nightmare once you start receiving income and it pushes your income higher. And yeah, so just think about it and perhaps speak to a tax consultant. Then Paul says, okay, no, let's say, yeah, Paul says, how do you save when your monthly income is taken up by necessities such as rent and food? This one actually, Pam answered it for me, right? She said that, and this was what I was going to say anyway. She said that what she has seen when it comes to not earning a lot of money is that people think that you have to have a lot of money to start investing and saving. And it is absolutely not about that. The whole point is that you want to start building good habits from the get-go. So if your income is 3,000 as an example, you need to learn to put away $100 away of that, right? Because once your income starts growing, you will not have that habit of putting money away. Where are you going to start? You're not going to start all of a sudden putting money away because you don't know how to do that. So just think about it this way, that when you are at the beginning of your career or not earning quite a lot of money, it's about building good money habits so that when you eventually have the type of money that you want, you're in the habit of saving and investing anyway. Okay. Then Akamia, you know some of these names on the handles on Instagram, but she says, if you have 400,000, what would you do to increase it? Again, you know, questions like this, they are so vague, right? Because again, you have to go back to the principles. How long do you have to invest for? Is it money that you're okay kind of losing? Is it money that you're going to need in the next 2 years or 3 years? So timelines are important. I cannot say go invest this money, but you need it after a year. Because again, there's a possibility of losing money when you invest in shares or when you invest in the stock exchange. All right. So you have to be much more clear. You have to be thorough. What is the goal? How long do I have? What is my risk appetite? Answer those questions, then it will get you closer to understanding what to do with the 400,000. But for me, if I had 400,000 right now that I perhaps I don't really need, I'll definitely invest it for the next 7-8 years. I'll put it in the highest risk type of investment. So I'll definitely go for shares. Make sure that they are dividend paying shares so that I do get dividends as well from that, and just let it grow. And I wouldn't be too worried when it dips. I wouldn't be too excited when it gets a lot of when it grows. So for me, investing I'm very practical. I'm not too bothered when there's a dip. I don't get too excited when it's doing well. It's all about my investment strategy and what I'm trying to achieve. Then Joyce says, is it better to get a tax-free investment account rather a tax-free savings account offered by banks? 100%. I've done a video on this. Pam, help me to link it, because I always say I'm going to link stuff, then I completely forget. Always it's best, because remember, the whole point of a tax-free savings account or investment is the same thing, is that it's a long-term investment, and you only really get to see the benefits once you leave it for the long term. In a bank, it's simple interest, you're not earning that much, but with a proper investment with an asset manager, you are investing in shares, you can invest in exchange traded funds or unit trusts, and you can put it in high equity. So you're actually missing out on an opportunity if you put it into a bank account. All right. So I'm just going to do the last one because it's quite a lot. I'll do another video of this. The last one, it says, not a money question, but I have a book club that's focusing on personal finance. Where's the end? Oh, for the first quarter. Any book recommendations you would like to, that you would like? Of course. There's a recommendation for you. My book, really good information in there, packed with lots and lots of information, useful information. So definitely I would recommend my book. But I think also another book that I would recommend is, which book? Let me think about it. One of the books that I really enjoyed, The Richest Man in Babylon. It has really, really good principles. It's kind of old with some of the concepts, but maybe a revised one. I really, really enjoyed it. Some really good principles that you can even use today. It was written, I don't know how many moons ago, but even today it's still really relevant. One of the things that I learned from the book is pay yourself first. And I live by it, I preach it, and I really do believe in that, paying yourself first. Other books, you can read books by Maya Fisher-Friend. She is brilliant. She is a maven. She's brilliant. Then yeah, and also Sam Beck-Bessinger's book, How to Manage Your Money Like a Effing Grown Up. I think that's a good book as well. So yeah, those are my recommendations, but definitely start here at home with me with this book. All right, tribe, thank you so much for watching. I will see you soon.